Hello and welcome to this latest video in the OCR series of work for GCSE Computer Science. Within this lesson we're going to be looking at a walking talking mock for the November 2020 paper for Unit 1 Computer Systems. In this mock you need to be expecting to see the following content. We've got these 6 topics from Unit 1 and all of those could be in any exam that you sit for Unit 1. So we're going to go through the November 2020 paper together. It'd be useful for you to have a blank copy of the paper to note down the answers you think, pausing the video at various points to then check your answers compared to mine. So question 1 is looking at data in computer systems. It says it's valuable and at risk of loss, damage or being stolen. The table has 4 potential threats. We just need to write down one prevention method for each. So we are looking at 1 or 2 word answers here and we don't need to be writing a particularly large amount to get our first 4 marks. Remember, we only need 9 marks most years to get a grade 1, so 4 marks is going to get us well on the way to that point. We've got unauthorized access to a computer, we've got viruses, phishing and data interception. These are the answers I'd then be putting for question 1. We've got a strong password for unauthorized access, antivirus for virus, firewall or encryption. There are, however, a number of different answers you can have for those on the mark scheme. The one thing the mark scheme does say is you're not allowed to repeat your answers. So firewall would get you the mark for point 1 and it would get you the mark for point 3, but you can't put firewall for both. Although they are correct answers, you can't repeat your answers. First 4 marks hopefully in place then for those first couple of questions. We've then got to name 2 other threats and outline the preventative method we can use to prevent that threat. So we've got lots of others we can pick for again here. We've got things like spyware, DDoS attacks, ransomware, SQL injection, social engineering, poor network policy, hardware failure or loss of data. I'm going to pick again the ones we think we can explain in the best possible way. We've got 4 marks to gain. We're going to gain 1 mark for naming the threat and another for explaining it. I've gone for SQL injection and we can prevent that through using validation on user input to remove special characters such as a speech mark or an equals. And then spyware, and spyware is nice and easy because the prevention is just anti-spyware software. As we move on to the new page, we've got a new question. Within Unit 1, every time there's a new question, there is usually a new scenario. Within this one, we've got Hope, and Hope has a network in her house. The main devices are shown in the diagram. We've got to state whether Hope's network is a LAN or a WAN, and then we've got to justify our choice. Anything within one home or one small area is a LAN. It's the justification where people often slip up. It's really important that we get that phrase, small geographical area. You're not going to get the mark for just saying over a small area. You've got to have that phrase geographical in there. It's also only going to get us 1 of the 2 marks that we need for our justification. We need something else, something along the line of there being dedicated hardware, maybe only 1 router if there were a router in the example. So I've gone for there is 1 set of hardware and all of that is controlled by Hope. A wide area network is made up of many networks over a wide area, so there would be multiple routers and multiple people controlling the different aspects of the network. Within this network it's only Hope and she controls it for herself. Part B is a 1 mark question and it just says what else do we need to get onto the internet. Clearly missing from this example is a router, so that we would need to get onto the internet. You'd also get a mark there for modem in that the modem would convert that signal to allow it to travel down our phone lines. We're continuing on with the Hope scenario within Part C. The network has 1 wireless access point in the kitchen and it transmits on the 5 GHz frequency. When the laptop is in the kitchen, it's better performance. Explain why. This is a question you really don't need to overthink. You could talk a lot around 5 GHz and 5 GHz potentially being a shorter range, but we don't really need to go into that sort of depth. Okay. Talk about here, first of all, the bedroom is further away. That means the wireless signal's got to travel further and therefore it will be slower. Secondly, it's highly likely that between Hope's kitchen and her bedroom there are going to be either floors or walls, and the signal will have to travel through those, and that will again slow it down more. So again, while you could get very technical here, you really don't need to. The bedroom's further away, that'll make it slower, and it's probably going to have to go through a floor or a wall, and that'll make it slower again. The same applies for the second part of this question. State 2 ways that she can improve wireless performance. You could get into detail about changing to 2.4 GHz, but you really don't need to. 2 things to do here. Install an extra wireless access point in the bedroom, or move the current wireless access point closer to the bedroom. Both of those are going to get you the 2 marks that you need within this question. Finally, explain why Hope's network uses a peer-to-peer model and not a client-server model. Now, to start with, don't overthink it. Your first mark is straightforward here. There is clearly no server in the diagram, therefore it can't be a client-server network. But this is a 3-mark question, so we need a little bit more for marks 2 and this is where I'm starting to think about how I lay out my answers. I want to make it really clear to the examiner that I've made 3 points. So I'm doing those as 3 separate sort of mini paragraphs. I'm separating them out with a line gap. You could also do this with bullet points. Mark 1, there is no server. Mark 2, all of the computers are equal and no one computer is in control. A key requirement of a client-server model is that the server controls parts of the network that the other computers don't. Finally, all of the computers that connect directly to one another, they connect directly to other computers, they don't go through a server, a switch, or anything like that, which might make us think this was a client-server model. So, a slightly harder question there to get us halfway through question 2. You need to think around, am I getting 3 marks there? We want to be aiming to get full marks on all of these questions. That's going to get you your 3 marks. Next, we're looking at some advantages and drawbacks for the cloud, storing files in the cloud. Now again, this is a 6-mark question, so that's a really decent amount of marks. That's probably going to take us up a full grade come the end of the exam. From this, I know I need 3 benefits and I need 3 drawbacks. And again, you want to think about how you... I, on this example, have simply bullet pointed them. They can be accessed from any device, they can be accessed from anywhere, and backups often are automatic. And I've just noticed my slight spelling or grammar mistake on my second bullet point. That should clearly be can be accessed from anywhere, or you can access them from anywhere. Backups are automatic, and that's a real positive in terms of the cloud. I'm then thinking about my drawbacks. Well, we do need an internet connection. We do need internet that works. We may have to pay a monthly fee. Things like Office 365 are often charged with a monthly fee. And it can be slow if we need to upload or download really big files. This is another question where we really want to focus on getting full marks. We don't want to end up getting 3 out of 6 here. We want to make sure we're getting 6 marks. Most of you will have used Office 365, OneDrive or Google Drive. Think about the positives and negatives and you should better get those answers. A really nice question here, and all we have to do is draw a line or draw a couple of lines. It's a fairly complex question, although some are easier than others and we can exclude those. But to get our 4 marks, we just need to draw 4 lines. We've got to match up the 4 items on the left-hand side with the 4 options on the right-hand side. Now, pick the ones you know. Do the ones you know first. I would be starting with cache memory. I think cache memory is the easier one there. Maybe then the register or the registers and match those up. None of these match to, one answer matches to 2 other answers. So as soon as we match one up, we can exclude that. We then have the control unit and the ALU to match up as our final options. Finally, having marked a lot of these papers, make sure you do this with straight lines and a ruler. Don't make it unnecessarily hard for whoever is marking your paper. There are the answers I've got in place. The ALU performs mathematical operations, the control unit sends signals to direct operations, the cache is our high-speed memory, and the register is a single piece of memory. We're then on to our essay question for the exam. The essay question will often be at the end, but occasionally does come halfway through the paper. You've got a couple of options. I would considering leaving this question till last, but making sure you leave yourself a good 20 minutes to undertake it. Alternatively, you can go through the paper in order and give it a go as you get there. This question talks about AI and medical testing. It then says discuss the issues surrounding, consider the following. It does not mean consider the following. It means you must include at least 2 ethical issues, at least 2 legal issues, and at least 2 cultural issues. Now we know we're aiming for 8 marks, so we want to make 8 points. It needs to be a balanced argument. It says discuss the issues. We can't put all advantages and we can't put all negatives. Again, think about how you're going to lay out your answer. You want to make it really clear to the examiner that you've got an ethical paragraph, a legal paragraph, and a cultural paragraph. You could also use the back of the exam paper to just do a very quick essay plan for this answer. I've made it really clear by putting ethical, legal and cultural in the margins. You're not going to lose any marks for that. If there's spag marks available on the question, you won't lose them for putting those little pointers in the paragraph. I've also made my paragraphs really clear. I've said one huge positive, blah, blah, blah. And then a couple of lines down, on the other hand. And I've started all of my negative paragraphs with the phrase, on the other hand. I'm making it really clear to the examiner that I'm making those key points. Now, I won't go through my answer here in depth. Pause the video at this point, have a read of my answer and think, am I making 8 very clear points? You need 8 points, 4 positives, 4 negatives, spread across those different paragraphs. I'm aiming for a couple more than that within my answer. Have a read and see how you think that compares to yours. Question 5 is another quite nice question, and we've got 8 marks available to us here, and all we need to do is fill in the blanks. Again, each word, each phrase can only be used once, so fill in the ones you know. Go through and fill in the obvious ones first. Nobody should be leaving any blanks here. Okay, you could well make a guess and get lucky. If you're not sure, if you filled in the obvious ones and then you're stuck, make some sensible and solid guesses. Here are the answers. This question is a nice one to mark in that pretty much it is. Those are the answers. There's really not much debate around this question. Those are the answers you're going to get right. If you're not putting those answers, it's not right. The operating system provides a user interface that interacts with the hardware. We move from the secondary storage to the RAM. Using multiple RAM slots and and memory management is known as multitasking. The operating system allows device drivers to be installed and interact with the processor. We finish off talking about passwords and directories. Note, each part at the top has only been used once. Those are the correct ones. Part B then begins to look at disk defragmentation and what disk fragmentation might be. Part I is one where it's very easy to make a mistake because they are looking for some quite specific things within the answer. You to specifically say all of file 1 will be stored consecutively, all of file 2 will be then stored consecutively, and then all of file 3. You can't say the files will be in order if you want to get the full marks. For the final mark, you need to say all of the free space will be together. So you've got 2 marks for file 1, file 2 and file 3 being stored consecutively and together, and you've got a final mark for then all of the free space being stored together. You can't say similar files are grouped. That's not specific enough. That's not going to get you the mark. We're then asked why, and this is a sort of fairly technical question in terms of why is it faster? The obvious answer for me is around a hard disk, and a hard disk is a physical arm that moves to read data. The more it has to move, the slower it will be, so the less movement or the least movement means we're going to save that time. Like I say, there's another sort of chunk of answers you could put for there, and you can compare that to the mark scheme, but those are the easy ones, and we just need 2 marks. Finally, we need to say a couple of utility programs. There are a number you can pick from. I have gone from encryption software, compression software, and a firewall. You can also have antivirus and anti-spyware in there as well, and backup software as well. Those are pretty much the only ones you can have. If you say antivirus, you can't also say anti-spyware. So they've said in the mark scheme, you can only get that sort of anti-malware type software the one time. C is then a really tough question in that it's asking us to look at some pseudocode within Unit 1. You could be lucky and get through Unit 1 with no pseudocode at all, but they are within their rights to ask you some pseudocode related questions. We need to fill in the blanks here using the letters from below, and this is another fairly nice question in that it's either right or wrong. Pause the video at this point and give this fairly tough question a go. So here are my answers. One. You can write the phrase out in full, or you can simply write the letters. For me, if I can save time, I'm going to go with writing the letters. If the RAM is full, then move the data from the RAM to the secondary storage. Store data in next free space in RAM. End procedure. We know a procedure is started, so we know that F must be F because we want to end the procedure. Again, fill in the gaps you know, fill in the answers you're sure on, and go from there. Then come back and fill in the ones you're not quite as confident on. So continuing on with that question, we're on that same sort of topic and we want to describe the purpose of ROM. We've then got some questions around embedded systems. So describe the purpose of ROM in Ali's tablet, but for two. ROM stores the BIOS, which stores the instructions to boot up the computer. That's all I need to say for 2 marks. 1 mark for the BIOS, 1 mark for the boot up instructions. You could say it's to do with data that should not be changed. You could talk about firmware or the fundamental parts of the operating system, although it's not the full operating system stored there. Question E is a really interesting one, particularly when you read the mark scheme. Ali thinks a tablet is an embedded system. State whether he's right or wrong and justify your choice. Now, they will accept incorrect or correct. They will accept both options as long as you have justified why you think that. I, however, quite strongly think Ali is incorrect. I do not think a tablet is an embedded system. A tablet has many functions, but an embedded system only has one. You can update the software and you can install new applications. You need to be making there 3 points. As I say, you could get the mark if you've said it's correct, but you have justified it and the mark scheme will run you through that. But for me, this question really should be incorrect as your choice. F is a mildly tough bit of maths. You've got a 100GB hard drive with 80 gigabytes left available. They want to know how many videos we can store on it when each video is 200,000 kilobytes in length. The key bit here is it is 4 marks. You've got to show you're working and you've got to show 3 marks worth of work. I firstly want to work out how many megabytes is 200,000 kilobytes. I then want to work out how many videos can we fit into a gigabyte. And I've worked out that 5 videos equal 1 gigabyte. So to get to that point, you're going to get yourself 2 marks. I then need to say that I've got 80 gigabytes available, and I know that 5 videos are stored per gigabyte. So the answer is 400 videos, and you're going to get that mark for 400 videos. Don't please try and do this question by using 1024 as your unit of measurement. That is correct, but so is 1000 in terms of the GCSE. Do 1000, save yourself some much more complex maths by trying to divide 200,000 by 1024. Like I say, the key bit here, most people will get the answer correct. The key bit here is, are you getting 4 marks for your, 3 marks, for your working, and 4 marks in total. Question 6, we're now approaching the end of this paper, and question 6 is then a new topic. We need to set up our LAN within a mesh topology. Now, the mark scheme again is mildly controversial. You get 1 mark if all devices connected to at least one other component. Now, if I were writing this paper, I'd not be giving a mark for that because that's not anywhere near a mesh network. You get the second mark if all devices connect to all other devices individually or through one another, but not through the printer. I would be drawing something like that. Now, I haven't there connected computer 1 and 3, but computer 1 and 3 are connected through at least 4 other channels of communication. So a mesh network can connect every device to every other device, but it certainly means that each device is connected through at least 3 different channels to allow them to communicate. That's the answer pretty much for that one. Like I say, you could do a more complex mesh and connect computers 4 and 3 direct, 4 and the printer and 1 and 3 directly, but that's certainly enough to get you your marks. There's then a tick box for true and false. A lot of people struggle with this question in terms of, is Ethernet a protocol or not? So Ethernet is a protocol. It does not use wireless. It can transmit data at speeds of up to 100 gigabits per second, and it is a protocol within the TCP IP stack, very much thinking about that transport layer. So that's a tough question. Lots of people who have ticked false to the first part of that question around Ethernet is a protocol, because Ethernet is also a type of sort of wire, but that is then the correct answer they are accepting, and that is a non-negotiable answer. If you've put 2 ticks in any one row, you're definitely getting 0 marks. So we're now on to the final page of the exam paper and the final 6 marks available to us. Remember, 6 marks could well get you up to that next grade boundary. Computer 1 enters the URL ocr.org.uk. Explain how that is converted into an IP address, and we need to be making 3 marks. Lots of people here would get 2 out of 3. Talk about DNS, talk about IP address found, but you're missing then maybe that 3rd mark. Again, I'm laying my answer out in a very specific way. I'm laying this out with 3 lined values, 1 mark per each line. The URL is sent to the DNS server as a request. The IP address is looked up for the URL, and then the IP address is returned if found. That is going to get you your 3 marks. You could also have a line there about if the address is not found, what would happen. But for me, those are the easy, straightforward 3. Finally, state 3 items of data that would be contained in a packet header. The mistake here is people saying the data. The data is not included as part of the header. That is the data. The header contains the other bits of information that the packet needs to know. We need the destination IP, we need the sender IP, and we need the packet number. Okay, those are the bits of information that are needed to recompile that packet when it arrives at its destination in the right order. Where it's coming from, where it's going, and the packet number. The error there would be to put the data as one of those elements. Hopefully this has been a helpful run through of the November 2020 Unit 1 mock. The answers I've given you are not the only ones that would be acceptable. There are lots of other answers that you could put, but these are the ones that I think are your easiest route to getting a grade 9 in your computer science exam paper. As always, if you have any questions, please post those into the comments section below or directly onto Google Classroom. Thank you very much for watching.